considered that some of your beliefs and some of your behaviors might inadvertently be blocking you from having the love that you desire or even being able to see your Mr. Right? I'm Michelle Marchant Johnson with Love Life Coaching, and I'm here to help you be that woman of high value who meets and attracts her high quality man. Now, as a single woman dating in my 40s, I had a great life. I had a great career. I had a great life where I traveled and did a lot of really interesting and exciting things. I had great friends. I owned my own home. I was successful in so many ways, and yet the whole love thing was very elusive for me. And while I dated some really nice men, trying to find that kind of relationship that felt like that fit for me in terms of wanting to be with someone as a long-term committed partner was a very challenging thing for me to find. And I used to joke around and say that I was going to write a book called Dating for Decades, chronicling all of the mishaps and misadventures of my love life that felt like it was going to go on forever without a positive resolution. And there were times when this was incredibly frustrating, incredibly discouraging, and even made me very sad at times. I can remember coming home from business trips and things like that to my beautiful but empty house, no one to share the sights and sounds of the travel that I wanted to do with, and just wishing for that wonderful partner in my life. And during that period of time, I also read every single book and article and everything I could get my hands on in terms of love, dating, relationships, men, so that I could kind of try to crack the code of what might be going on and what might be blocking me from having love with the man of my dreams. And what I discovered is that while I thought the challenge was out there in terms of me not meeting the right men or all the good ones being taken or just somehow I'd missed my chance or whatever, that there was some cosmic reason out there that I hadn't met the right man, what I discovered initially through doing all of this reading and exploration and some of the things I learned, and then getting some support and help in my love life to help me to understand on a deeper level what was going on, what I came to understand and find out was actually that some of my beliefs and some of my behaviors were actually self-sabotaging me in my love life. And some of these things I hadn't really seen before. They hadn't really been at the surface. It's like they were operating underneath the surface, maybe in the same kind of a way that like a computer hard drive is running the whole show in the computer, but we don't really see it. And it wasn't until I got some support and had someone to help me to begin to uncover some of these more unconscious things that were going on and see some of the patterns of behavior that hadn't served me well, that I began to have huge breakthroughs in my love life and new possibilities began to open up for me. And that was a big part of what made it possible for me to meet my now wonderful husband, Benjamin, and for us now to have been in a loving, committed marriage relationship over the past 13 years. And so thankfully, I became a very happy and ecstatic first-time bride at age 43. But believe me, getting there was not easy. So what I want to share with you today, along with this story, is a little bit more about 7 common things that I see that are patterns or beliefs or things that often show up for single women and can be blocks to the progress that you want to make toward meeting and attracting Mr. Right. So just listen to these, see if any of these resonate, see if any of these might be in effect for you, because the good news is once you can begin to identify some of these things or some of these patterns that might be going on, that can be the gateway to having a breakthrough and no longer having these things running the show underneath the surface. So the first one is something that I tend to talk about a lot, And I talk about it as in terms of you having vision of what you really want, need, desire most, in terms of not only your love life, but your life and what that looks like in the context of a partnership. So, the first thing that can create a breakdown is not having that clarity. Because if you don't have that clarity, then what can often happen is you can get involved with the wrong person. And you can then recognize after you've invested time there that you don't actually share the same values or don't have enough going for you in terms of things that would make that relationship compatible. So that lack of clarity can actually cause a lot of problems. And that's why when I work with my clients in my private coaching or in my group coaching programs, we always spend some time on really clarifying your vision. And a lot of this is about knowing yourself and knowing what your wants and needs and values are. So the second thing that I see most frequently is women kind of isolating themselves or being so much in a routine that they never create any opportunity for themselves to meet someone new. So I can remember having a conversation with one of my single girlfriends a few years ago, and she said to me, she said, "It's been years since I've really been to any social events or singles kinds of events or events where I really feel like I could potentially meet someone in real life." And while that may be a bit of an extreme example, she was kind of, withdrawn and pulled in and a bit of an introvert. Um, I know that all of us tend to get in our own routines. We tend to go to the same places, see the same people over and over again. And with my clients, I believe that the best chance of you creating those opportunities where you can meet someone that's right for you is using both online and offline opportunities that you can create for yourself where you might actually meet someone who could potentially be a good match. The third one that I see is that women can be so committed that they don't really have room for love. So, what I mean by that is, yes, you want to have a wonderful, wonderful, full, rich life as a single woman. Absolutely. And yet, we tend to be givers as women, and we can commit ourselves to so many different projects, causes, people, and opportunities that it's hard for us to even imagine creating the time or space for someone in our life. And I know to some extent I did this as a single woman. And I think for me, it was a bit of a defense mechanism because by staying super, super, super busy, I didn't allow myself a lot of times to really feel that emptiness or that lack of having someone, of not having someone in my life. And when I did have that time or space, then I felt that more poignantly. And because that was painful for me, sometimes it was easier just to keep myself really, really super busy and even to the point of being overcommitted. So the next one is ambivalence. And I see this come up a little quite often, and it's a little bit more subtle. But what I mean by this is if you're saying, I really deeply desire a relationship, and yet there's a part of you that is afraid of losing your autonomy or your freedom or yourself in the context of a relationship, there may be a bit of a tug of war going on inside. And while that is completely and totally understandable, I want to reassure you that with the right partner and the right relationship, you can have that kind of synergy between you that actually creates greater freedom and opportunity and doesn't feel like you're trapped or that you're losing yourself in the context of a relationship. In fact, part of being a woman of high value is maintaining your own identity, your own values, your own interests, your own friends, and the things that are really important to you. And typically that's part of what would that would attract the right guy to you to begin with anyway. And yet this is a fear for a lot of women, and it is understandable, and it even was a bit of a fear for me because after we get so used to being so independent and self-sufficient and all of those kinds of things, it's almost like we feel like we'd be giving something up to rely upon someone else in certain ways. So this can be a little bit of a subtle one, but it's definitely something worth taking a look at. Another thing that can keep women from being able to move forward to meet and attract the right man is if you're still holding on to something from the past. So once I heard the wonderful Lisa Nichols say something like, let go of and forgive your ex so you can be ready for your next. And I think there's something really to that. I love the way she said that, but I also think that being focused on the past, whether it's past hurt, past disappointments, still having an attachment to a past relationship, not having forgiven yourself or someone else for past hurts or disappointments, still feeling like an obligation to someone from your past because sometimes we make promises and then even if the relationship doesn't work out, we still feel a certain amount of obligation to this person from our past. And these kinds of things can really get in the way of you really being fully open, available, and present to the opportunities that might be right in front of you. So if there are still some unresolved things from the past, get support around that or do what you feel like you might need to do in order to be able to heal that and release yourself from that so that you can be fully ready and available to be in a relationship with the right person for you. So the next one is settling for less than you deserve. So sometimes, if it's been a long time since you've met someone, or you're feeling like you're losing that hope or that belief that you might be able to meet the right person for you, it can be easy to settle, at least for a period of time, for kind of Mr. Right Now, or someone who's almost the right person but not quite, or someone who's almost available but not fully, or whatever, but you're settling for less than what you deserve. You feel like you're compromising in some way that's making you feel like, uncomfortable on some level, and you just kind of know this is not quite right for you, even though sometimes we really wish that it could be. It kind of feels like putting a square peg into a round hole, kind of like trying to make something work, and there's struggle and there's drama and there's frustration and there's pain and or it's just kind of boring or dull or unsatisfying. And unfortunately, a lot of times we think we can kind of keep our eye out for and still be available for the right man while still kind of holding on to these kind of substandard relationships, but it doesn't usually work that way. And we're not really available for the right person, and we might actually even miss out on seeing him, or we might seeing him if he was right in front of us, or we might not be creating the opportunities for ourselves to meet new people because we're kind of in this comfortable and yet sort of uncomfortable and unsatisfying relationship. And so this can be a big one. And then the last one I wanted to share with you that is really powerful is the lack of belief that there is someone out there. And this shows up in a variety of forms. It can be in beliefs about you, like I'm too old, or I missed my chance, or I'm too fat, or I'm too much this, or I'm not enough that, or the kind of man that I might want is not going to want me. All the good ones are taken. This can be beliefs about yourself. It can be beliefs about men. It can be beliefs, scarcity kind of beliefs about what's available or what's possible for you out there. But our minds are incredibly powerful. And so I believe that when we think our thoughts or we speak our words, we need to be paying really close attention to what we're allowing ourselves to think and speak, and always to be speaking in the direction of what we want and speaking into the direction of faith and possibility rather than into thinking words and speaking thinking thoughts and speaking words of doubt and fear and scarcity. That's a really powerful thing. And when you begin to do that, you begin to see the world differently, because it's said that we don't see the world or other people as the world is or as they are. We see the world and other people as we are. So it's like we're looking through glasses that are tinted in a certain way based on what our beliefs are. And that's what we're going to see out there. So being aware of what the thoughts are in your mind and the words that you speak, and speaking into words of faith and possibility, and speaking and thinking about what you want rather than what you don't want, or those thoughts of fear or lack or scarcity, can be an incredibly powerful practice that can help change the trajectory of what is possible for you. Now, I'm sharing these with you because I can tell you, as a single woman, I took a tour through all of these at one time or another. And I feel like I was self-sabotaging my love life without even realizing it. I didn't even know a lot of this was going on for me until I got some support in my love life. So I wanted to just do a brief video on these things and just touch on each one of them, just to give you a little bit of food for thought, and for you to see if you think that any of these might be in place for you. Now, of course, this is not a full and comprehensive list, but these are certainly some common ones. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you like this video. Please leave a comment below and let me know if any of these are in effect for you, or if there's something else that came to mind while you were listening. And also, if you haven't subscribed already to my YouTube channel, please do so now. I'm working on growing my YouTube channel and plan to create a lot of content this year, and would love to have you here and connect with you in this way. So for now, I'm sending you love, blessings, and cheering you on from here, and wishing you the very, very best in life and love. Bye for now.